Let's go to Dallas, Texas, and talk to Sydney. Hey, Sydney, what's up?
Hey, Dr. Delony. Can I give you a shout out first, real quick?
You can do all things. What's up?
Okay. Well, first of all, I'm listening to your Own Your Past, Change Your Future. So I'm trying to do that. And it's helping so much. Also, your anxiety book is helping me. I'm on the myth of anxiety can be cured only with medication. But this is really special. I purchased your Questions for Humans cards for our 8-year-old grandson who lives with us. So sometimes he drives us nuts. We don't know what else to do with him. And
he's 8, Sydney. That's what they do. They're just nuts.
Right?
Oh, man.
But I'm a grandparent, so these cards have been life-changing. And we ordered the second set as well. But he's now starting to make up his own questions. When you did all your first questions, now he's starting the questions. And so, I've sent them to other people, and what a great idea.
Well,
and they have
awesome.
been so helpful. And my other shout out is today, Ramsey. My husband and I have worked our tails off. We've eaten beans and rice, and we're completely debt free.
Way to go! Way to go!
House and everything.
Oh, wow! You don't owe anybody anything, right?
Nope, not at all. And we live
amazing.
in Texas in a big old house, and
it's yours. It's all yours.
It's mine. No one can take it. No one can take my cars. I've had that happen before.
Oh, you know what an anxious life is, huh? Well. Thank you for picking up the books and working through them. I'm currently right in the middle of writing another one, and it's an expansion on the Redefining Anxiety one. It's a much bigger how to build a non-anxious life, which I'm excited about. And it really combines those two books that you're talking about. So I'm glad you're working your way through them. Here's what's funny about those cards. I got a note from the guy here. His name's Brian. He's amazing. He's the guy that runs the products here at Ramsey Solutions. He said that the printer notified him that they're out of paper, that they can't keep these things in stock. And one of the cardinal sins at this building is you never run out. You don't run out because people need help and they finally click, I want to buy this thing and I'm going to start on my journey to reading a new book so that I can get healthier. I want to talk to my kids or my grandkids. Or I have an 8-year-old grandson that lives with me and he's nuts and I want to connect with him. And you finally click and it says sold out. So that's one of the cardinal rules. And he reached out and said, hey, we ordered a new round and they sold out within 48 hours. And now we've just been notified there's no more paper. Like we're out of paper. So, man, hey, they're coming. They'll be back. But hey, here's what's really exciting. That people are actually using those cards and their bodies are remembering. Here's what it feels like to actually be engaged with somebody. And then I love your 8-year-old so creative. He's making his own cards. That's fantastic. There's nothing magic about these particular cards. Make your own. That is awesome. And it's also great that he's got a grandmother who's willing to sit down and look him in the eye and get down on his level and play with him. That's a great, great gift to a dysregulated kid, man. So how can I help?
Well, I have 6 children. Okay. And somebody said it would be fun to have a big family. Okay. 6 adult children, and 4 are mine, and 2 I inherited from my husband. Okay. I was married for 22 years. My husband and I were in full-time ministry. He went kind of south. There was a lot of infidelity, and we ended up divorcing 13 years ago. It devastated our children, absolutely devastated them. In every way. They walked away from their faith. It was devastating to our kids. I met my husband, my wonderful pawpaw, who also does the cards with us with the 8-year-old grandson. We met and married, and he's been great. The kids have accepted him. We have tried very hard to make our home the hub. I mean, we have a playroom, a nursery, a pool. We have a sign up that says, feed them and they will come. That was my husband's idea because he's a deer hunter. I didn't really get what he was talking about when he said, honey, I just think we need to put food out and feed them like I do the deer. And I thought, okay, I don't know where you're going with this, but okay. So we did that. We did that. And for years now. We've been married for 12 years, and it's just brought our family together. It was beautiful. It was crazy good. It was so, there was so much restoration.
Awesome.
And then our oldest son was involved in an incident at work, and I won't go into what happened, but he kind of lost his mind and went from the perfect husband to...
Did he cheat on his wife?
Yeah, he did.
Yep.
He did, but it was...
Apples and trees.
Yeah, I guess so.
Apples and
but
trees,
this
man.
is not the son that I would have thought would have done that.
But that wasn't the husband you thought would have done that either, right?
Not at all.
Yeah.
Not at all.
Yeah.
So my husband and I were out of town when this all came, to the surface, and he asked if he could, stay with us for a while. Well, we have the hub, we have the big house, and I'm like, of course, he's very close to that 8-year-old who I do the cards with, and I was like, yeah, sure, whatever we can do. Well, long story short, his wife are trying to work things out now, which is great. However, his wife thinks that we took his side in this whole thing, which we didn't. And she is now withholding their 4-year-old daughter from not just us, but the entire family. So I haven't seen this child, and our heart is broken.
Yeah.
So that was one son.
What does that one son have to say about it? Because it's his daughter too.
We wish that he would be. He's walking on eggshells.
I get
with
that.
His wife.
He's not reconciling his wife. He is groveling, and that
Yes.
that's not the basis of a new relationship. Everything about their relationship is over the way it was. It's over. He cheated on his wife and with a coworker. And so everything's over, and them choosing to stay together, awesome, great. I'm all about it. But they're building something completely new. And if he builds and is involved in building something completely new and sits in the corner and sucks his thumb, then what's new is going to be a world of her own creation. It's going to be created in a vacuum. And it's not going to be conducive to a long-term relationship. See what I'm saying?
I absolutely do.
And here's the big, ugly, sad part of all of this. You can't do anything about it.
It's heartbreaking.
It's heartbreaking. You got to grieve it. It is sad. I mean, the one thing you could do is, I don't say confront is a dramatic word. I don't think confrontation, but having a direct conversation with your son about what stories he's allowing his wife to believe about his mom and dad, about him not taking full ownership of what happened, about, hey, we're not going to start our new life together that we're creating by cutting out all of our old family, like whatever. And I also don't blame her, quite honestly.
Absolutely.
She watched what his biological dad did. She's like, I want nothing to do with this family. I'm out.
Absolutely.
Right. And that it's just, I think there's this, I got to sit in it. I've run up against something, and I say this half in jest, half not in jest. There's something that a strong, powerful Texas woman has run up against that you just simply can't control. And it's not in the cultural psychology. You paid your house off, man. You got out of debt. You got remarried. I mean, you've done hard things, and you can't do anything about this one. Right?
Yeah, you're right. And it's heartbreaking.
It is.
Because
This is grief.
Infiltrated, other relationships in the family.
Well,
no one gets to see their little girl. Nobody.
And that's grief. But the more you let that be something that everybody talks about, and It's like there's like a poison glass on the counter, and everybody knows it's there. But then every time y'all get together, somebody picks up that glass and pours a little bit of it in everyone else's drink just to make sure everybody feels miserable. And that's just, it hurts, but it doesn't help anything. And so I can see a family prayer when y'all all get together and say, hey, we really miss young Susie, whatever her name is. We miss her. We really wish she's here. We miss her mom. We miss your son. And we hope that they're doing well. And then any choice to just dwell on it as a group, and can you believe this? And she's not, any choice down that road is just a choice to be miserable.
And personally, I don't need to dwell on it like I have been.
I think at some point you got to write her a letter and tell her you love her, and tell her, though she doesn't see it or feel it or believe it, she'll always be your daughter. And if she ever needs anything, you're here. And
well, I've done that in text messages.
Text messages is the absolute worst way to communicate with another human being.
Got it.
It's a handwritten letter. And going back to the hand, it gives her something to hold on to and go back to. And this is not a woe is me. This is not a look what you've done. This is you simply saying, I need you to hear from me and see my handwriting. I love you. You're my daughter. You're a part of this family. If you choose to leave my son, I understand. I've been there. And I'll always love you and always care for you. And I've always got your back, even when it feels like I don't. And that's it. That's it.
Okay, I can do that.
Do you see there's a moment where y'all can bond? You've been her.
Yeah, I sure have.
Have you talked to her in that way?
No, because I've always tried my hardest not to talk negatively about their dad.
Mm-hmm. There's a difference between talking like he's a crummy piece of crap, whatever, and hey, honey, I've had my guts ripped out too. I've know that feeling of sitting on the edge of the bed and not realizing what day it is because everything in my world is upside down.
Mm.
That has nothing to do with him. I mean, he cheated. That has to do with her and you. See how there's such a dramatic difference?
I do.
And you can tell her, if you need to say ugly things about him, I'm fine to hear it. Because I said my fair share about his dad.
Well, and frankly, I'm having a hard time, wondering what the heck happened to my son. And I'm having a hard time respecting him. I don't respect him.
Fair.
Forgiving him.
Fair.
Like, what were you thinking?
Have you asked him?
No, I haven't.
Okay. Those secrets are killing you.
Yeah.
And these aren't grenades. These aren't you coming after him being, I can't. This is you taking your son out to breakfast and saying, hey, like it's been a season. We went through this with your dad. What happened? Because my guess is he didn't like who he had become. He had a young kid. He probably outgoing like his old man or whatever. Who knows, man? But he didn't like who he had become in his new marriage. And somebody else made him feel alive for a few minutes and he blew the whole thing up.
Yeah, that's exactly what happened. He had an incident at work and that just, I don't know, he fell off the wagon. It was horrible.
Yeah.
Okay. Son number 2.
Go through this one quick because we're gonna run out of time here.
Okay. We set up joint accounts for our kids because I started getting anxiety over giving gifts. We're out of debt. We started joint accounts so we could give them money for Christmas and birthdays.
Awful, terrible, awful, terrible idea.
Please tell me why.
Awful, terrible idea.
Because now we can't see that granddaughter because my son started dipping into my granddaughter's account, and my husband shut the account down.
As he should have.
So,
And so now you have a son throwing a temper tantrum.
and his wife.
They are acting like little children.
Yeah, she's accusing my husband of being a thief, of stealing from her daughter.
Here's the deal. If he gave her money, he's given her money.
Right.
And for him to be like, no, I'm taking it back, that's him being a child. But when you give, here's the deal. Your kids are grown-ups. You do not share accounts with grown-up kids. Especially not these days when you can Venmo money back and forth with somebody. Or I can write you a check and put it in the mail. I'm still old school like that. I got a checkbook in my bag right now. Like it's 1981, right? So like I'm not sharing accounts, number one. Number two, if I want to give money to my granddaughter for like college or something, I'm going to open an account that is an education account, like a 529. I'm going to open an account and put it there. Or worst comes to worst, I'm going to open a money market account, like a low interest, whatever, and I'm just going to open it myself and keep it in there. I've got friends, 2 friends, who when my son and daughter were born, they opened a savings account for them. They did not give that savings account to me. Every year on their birthday, I get a text message or a card or something that says, hey, we deposited, we put some money in your kid's fund. And my guess is there'll be a couple of $1,000s when my kids graduate college. And it will just be a check that comes in the mail. Or when they graduate high school, it'll be a check that comes in the mail. It's awesome, but I'm not holding it. And you know why? They didn't give it to me as a gift. Like them not giving it to me was a gift for our relationship. Because they never have to wonder like, whoa, why is he spending it that? Or what's that for? But they took all those variables out. They said, hey, we've got some gifts for your kid that we're putting into an account and we're hanging on to it till the time is right. And it's their money. That's fantastic.
So do we write this daughter-in-law and sign a letter as well? How do we haven't seen this granddaughter in 4 months.
Yeah. Here's the deal. You're not going to try to say the right thing so you can see the granddaughter. That's like saying, I need to lose 50 pounds and going on like, I'm going to start taking meth and I'm going to have like the lower part of one of my legs removed so I can lose 50 pounds. You could get that number on the scale, but it's going to come at such a wild cost that it's not going to be worth it. What you want to do is heal your relationship with your son.
Absolutely. And daughter-in-law.
Heal your relationship with your daughter-in-law. Right. And so this one sounds more like a conversation that you have in person if they'll have it. If they won't, then yeah, you write letters. If they have it in person, and 100% of this conversation is you and your husband saying, we screwed up.
Okay.
We had joint accounts like y'all were 14 years old. You're not. Y'all are adults. We thought the best way we didn't think about setting up 529 accounts for the kids. We just were thinking about cash, and we put this burden on you guys as to how we wanted you to, and then we took the money back. We screwed it up. So we're starting from scratch. The money that we have for granddaughter, it's in a 529 now, and we're going to continue to fund that thing. So the moment she graduates high school, we're going to have this much money, hopefully, for her to go to college. And if you're still having to give your son cash so that he can live, that's a whole other conversation and problem. And if you want to buy gifts for your kids or for your grandkids, buy them a gift and send it to them. Or buy them a gift card and mail it to them.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yes, it makes sense.
Just don't. You're overcomplicating it. You're overthinking it. And there's something to be said for starting from scratch and saying, I miss my little boy. There's something to be said by calling his wife and saying, I miss my daughter-in-law. I just miss you. And I've screwed this whole thing up and I'm sorry. Can we meet? Can we talk? And we're not doing this just so we can see grandkid again. We're doing this because we want to heal these relationships. And the reason by the way, for those listening, the reason I would say one, write a letter. One is woman to woman, hurt woman to hurt woman. I'm identifying in your pain. And when you're entering into somebody else's pain, there's all kinds of walls and defense mechanisms built into somebody else's protecting themselves from getting hurt again. And so a letter is a great way to give somebody else the opportunity to read, and on their time, their schedule, when they can deal with it, they can read this letter. And they can read it again. They can read it again. The other one is, hey man, I blew it with the money. We're not healing relationships as much as y'all are throwing a temper tantrum. We screwed this up. We're just going to start this thing over. And again, just like I said with the first, with your first son, if they say you can never see this granddaughter again, ever, 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 they can do that because it's their kid, and it will be heartbreaking. It'll be something that you and your husband have to grieve deeply together, but it will be the way it is. And you can still send gifts. You can still write letters to that granddaughter. You can still send cards. But you're going to have to grieve the loss. I'm sorry. My gut tells me that you being vulnerable, you going first, you saying, I'm sorry, and here's how we're going to make this right, will go a long, long way to showing your kids and their spouses, mom and dad are safe now. Or mom and stepdad are safe now. We can go back home. The goal is always letting your kids know they have a place at home here.